The first thing that we're going to review is simply writing expressions with negative exponents. Let's take the expression 2 over x to the 5th. A lot of the time during this unit, we're not going to want to have this fraction bar here when working with an expression. We're going to want to have just a plain old exponent. And so we just need to be able to take this. Remember that a negative exponent is the same as 1 over something to that exponent. So this can also be written as 2 times x to the negative 5th. That's it. Same idea with something like this. Four over 5x cubed. Notice that this negative exponent this exponent of 3 only applies to this x to the 3rd right here. So that's the only thing that has the negative exponent. The 4/5 is just along for the ride. It's going to be okay if we have a fraction here because this is a number, just like 1 or 2 or 1/2 or whatever, but we would like our variables to not be in the denominator. Write that with a negative exponent there. Do remember one of the rules in terms of parentheses. So this that we wrote right up here is different than this. Here the cubed applies to the 5 as well. So this 4 stays put in the numerator, but this whole 5x has that negative exponent. We should also be able to rewrite expressions without a radical. Let's rewrite the 5th root of x squared. The really important thing to remember the 8th root of x to the b is the same as x to the b over a. Notice that we've got this one on the outside that's going on the bottom. This one on the inside is going on the top. And likewise, if we have the 8th root of x and that whole quantity is to the b, still the same thing. The a is going to go on the bottom and the b on the top. Actually, let's go up here and write ourselves a little general reminder for this one as well. If we've got a over x to the b, that a stays in place. That b is just a negative exponent if we write it in the numerator instead of the denominator. Okay, so let's come back over here. We're just going to use this rule. The little number in front of the root goes in the denominator. This goes in the numerator, right like that. Sometimes there are invisible numbers. Remember, if there's no number out here, this is just the square root. There's an invisible 2. And anything to the first power is just itself, so if we don't have an exponent, that's the same as x to the first power. So using that same rule, x to the 1/2. We can also do this if we have a radical in the denominator. I can do the same rule that we had right here. Notice that this x is in the denominator. Why don't we do what we did up here and bring it up into the numerator, because we're going to need that when we work with it later. Right like that. There's nothing wrong with how any of these are initially written. It's not something that would be wrong in a final answer. The reason that we're practicing this is just that we're going to want to have the expression in this form with x in the numerator as an exponent, not a radical, not the denominator, for the derivative work that we're going to be doing later on in this unit. And I found in previous years that a lot of students have forgotten these, and it's easier if we review them now rather than having them trip you up later.